What if you're really trying to love the world and be connected with the environment and everything, and how would you relate the way the corporate
How
the environment?
would you, if you're trying to love the world, love the environment, how would you relate to the corporate environment? Believe it or not.
Destroying it.
Well, careful. Let's have some clarity. It is easy, and human beings do this a lot. We have this human tendency to generalize. And it's extremely useful sometimes. For instance, here we talk about the forest. Right? There's no such thing as a forest. There's a bunch of trees and vines and flowers and dirt and lots of other stuff. We can't think about all that, it's too much. So we say forest. Okay, so when we look at some other things, and we say this because it's a generalization, some companies are destroying the environment. Not all of them, definitely. Okay? But some companies are destroying the environment. But even that's not true. What's true is some people working in these companies are doing things that result in environmental destruction. People are doing it. Companies don't do things. I know there's a legal fiction that says they are a legal body, an entity, but that's fiction, okay? It's people, and it's not everybody in the company who will do that. Most probably, the clerk in the accounting department doesn't even know what's going on. Okay? So, sometimes it's good to take a close look at that and realize sometimes generalizations it's not seeing the trees for the forest. And it's just so easy to talk about some huge thing. It's like there's no such thing as government. It's a word we use for a bunch of people who work for what we call the government. It's the individuals in that organization who do the things we like or do the things we don't like. Right? There's an awful lot of stuff going on, some of it good and some of it not good. But it's people who are doing it. It's really helpful to remember that. So then we don't get mad at the corporation or the government or these amorphous fictional entities. We don't have to get mad at anybody. We might if we don't know what to do. We get mad when we're helpless, when we feel helpless. So we got to get out of helplessness into doing something about it. If we try to do something about the company, you feel more helpless. Because it's amorphous, because it's not any particular thing that you can actually do something to except symbolically, and that's ridiculous. That's for your own ego. People who are burning down a company building or something like that, or all of that's pure egotism. It's what people do when they feel helpless. They try and attack a symbol. And it's got nothing to do with anything. So, get out of helplessness. And the way to get out of helplessness is in whatever way you can discover, and sometimes it takes a little research and effort. So any way that you can discover, either do what you can to undo it, do what you can to help whatever is being affected, do whatever you can to bring about change in whatever ways possible. Now, when you realize you're really working to undo what certain people have done, it's not as big a task as trying to change a whole thing. Okay? And that's just practical. In what we teach, in Huna, of course, some of you may or may not know this, but people who are really practicing Huna are never helpless, because we have 4 levels of kinds of ways that we can act in 4 different sort of kinds of realities that we accept as effective means of action. And so, just very simply, we can do what we can on a physical level. We can do what we can on a telepathic level, we can do a lot more there. We can do what we can on a dream level, because we accept that that's a valid area to work in. And we can do what we can, it's hard to describe it, but it's more of a spiritual level, more of a holistic level. This is going to sound kind of odd, but you become the problem and solve yourself. And very hard to put into words. But these are all valid ways of acting if you accept them. Okay? But even if you don't, there's always something that you can do, which is a movement. And when you're doing something, there are thousands, maybe millions of other people doing something. And so you're never alone when you see something that needs to be corrected. You're never alone. There are going to be lots of other people who want to correct it as well. And correcting it, in Hawaiian this is called pono. Correcting it is far more fruitful than just sitting back passively and being upset.